Alrighty, Sal. So here's your analysis. I'm using Max Scherzer. Like I explained in Enzo's video, there is a difference of two pitchers, accelerators and drivers. Drivers, which is what you and Enzo are using the force of the ground to translate into energy. Drivers, like Trevor Bauer and Jacob deGrom, are already going as soon as they throw. They're using more gravity-based. So I have both of y'all's videos linked here, and I'm just going to play them, and you're going to see one thing specifically about them. So, to the human eye, right, that probably looks very, very similar, but once we start to kind of dive into it, it's a lot different. So, first things first, obviously, I understand you were in the windup at this point, so I'm just going to try to give a good analysis because a lot of your windup and your just basic delivery in the stretch is very similar. So here are the first few things. So I want you to look just specifically. One thing that y'all do very, very well is, as you can see, your head moves slightly, but not a lot, which is good. But watch Max Scherzer's head. It really doesn't move until he gets into this leg. So that's the biggest thing, okay? Or the biggest thing regarding, like, the head part, right? So that's the first thing, okay? Now we get into this leg lift. And I just want to show you something, because this is also what you do with this front foot. And I've noticed it over time, and I was waiting to kind of show it. Watch Max Scherzer's front foot and watch yours, right? His goes straight up, right? Has a little bit of movement, but yours kind of moves all around when we start going, right? And specifically also, I want you to watch what your front leg does, right? Watch what Max Scherzer's. If I put a line about right here. Actually, no, it's a little bit off. A little bit off. Right here. He follows that line pretty well up, right? But then, if I were to draw a line, let's just say right here. Look how many times you go in. So you go out and then in, right? Versus we need to be going straight up. Okay? Now, the argument for yours is that helps you get into your backside, which you do a terrific job of, I gotta say. You do a great job of hinging there, which is something that's really, really good. You get into your back leg pretty well, so nothing bad there. You also take the ball down, which is good. And here's why it's good. Because as a driver, right, we talked about all your energy comes from the ground. So realistically, if we're going towards the ground and we're taking all of our energy into the ground, ball should be going into the ground too. So this is nearly identical right here, okay? So if we can get this leg straight like that, and then instead of using this leg to flip ourselves into this hinge, we use this back hip here. Because watch what Scherzer does, right? Watch Scherzer's back hip. That's doing all the work for him, right? That is doing all the work. Rather, you are using your back hip, but you're mainly using this front leg here to give you leverage to get up and over into that hinge. So I just want you to work on this, and I gave the same thing for Sal to do. So just up, straight, down, up, down. And overemphasize it too. Up, stomp, up, stomp, up, stomp, okay? So there's your first bit of homework. So other than that, really, really good here. That's exactly what we want. It's literally almost identical. Very much identical. And then we get to this part here. So at this position, Scherzer is in initial block, right? Also, love the shoulders. Perfect there. Now at this point, shoulders are more so straighter, which we can probably honestly work on because that might actually help you get into block better. So let's keep that in the back of our heads for right now. I'm not necessarily going to make it a total correction just yet, but if I might want to experiment with that because maybe my thought is if your shoulders are more level like this, right, that would possibly mean you get into initial block better. So realistically, right here is where we should be on initial block. Here is where we should be on full block, right? Here is you at initial block. You are already going, and you hit initial block there, and you're very much turned, right? Enzo is a little bit better about this. His is going to be, I think, an easier fix. Yours might be a more difficult fix, all right? Because that's where you hit initial full impact. You're already going, right? And the same thing if you watch Enzo's video is, if you remember in this drill that we did, this specific drill, right? I made you feel what it felt like when you were already in this position in block, you have nothing to work with, versus when you're in this position in block, you have a lot more to work with, right? You have a lot more torque to work with because that's the goal at the end of the day about hip-shoulder separation, okay? So that part there, and then you get it up, right? Okay. Another thing here. Remember when I was talking about the 90-degree window here? This is what I mean. So our arm right now is about 45 degrees. About 45 degrees. We need to get that probably out to there. And the 45-degree marker is when we get to Scherzer here, right at this position, which we were talking about, no more than 45 degrees out. As you can see, you have it flip-flopped. So you're 90 degree here, and the other one, when we get to here, 45 degrees. So we just got to flip that. It's going to take time, but like I said, with that block drill and you getting your arm to the 40, within that, with it no more than 45 degrees, and in either the 90 degree, the 90 degree window or more, when you get to here, when you get to there, we're going to see a lot of improvement. So they're the big two things right there, okay? So obviously getting into that back hip to make us get into this hinge position, because this hinge position is beautiful. That is a textbook hinge position. And then when we get to here, we need to get to, now I will say your drag is actually pretty good. Good drag, like not too long, which is perfect, very short. Love it, right? Now it's just about keeping this closed off, right? When we get to block, or rather getting to block sooner, because you ride this part out very, very long, right? Instead of, you're starting to go down, and you kind of hover it right there for a long time. Because I honestly think if you keep going down the slope of the mound right there, you're probably at initial impact there. And then there, you're at full block. Rather than there, you're starting your initial, if that makes sense. So that's another thing. And then you do a really good job. This is perfect. Absolutely perfect. All right. Look at where your arm is. It's right by your head. That is exactly where we want layback. So this is something you do well. Look at where Scherzer's is, right by his head. So we are perfect with where we're getting the layback from. Your big two things are going to be not getting into this back hip more, and then riding down the slope of the mound to get into initial block faster. Because I think that is what's causing you to lose a little bit of velo. Because you're in the right position here. You're in the same position as Verlander. You're doing the exact same things. Now it's just getting this front foot timing better and getting it to get into full block sooner, if that makes sense. And we'll go over that more in next lesson. But overall, like, I'm actually really impressed because I kind of go into this cold turkey and just go with what I see. But not many corrections. Granted, they're two very large corrections, and, you know, I'm not going to say they're not going to be hard because they will be hard. I'm going to tell you that. But it's two pieces that I think once we hone those in and we work on it and we get it great, where we're doing exactly what Scherzer does, I think we are going to see, number one, massive increases in velocity, but number two, more effectiveness in pitching and using your body more, right? Because there's a lot of velocity killers when it comes to pitching, right? If you were to think that every single time you throw it's 100%, all these little itty bitty mistakes eventually keep taking off points. So rather than throwing 100%, you're really throwing probably 83%. If that makes any sense. If that doesn't make sense, please let me know and I will answer to you. But that's where I'm trying to get with. So that's kind of your analysis there. Hope that all makes sense. If it doesn't, just let me know and I will explain everything to you better either over the phone or over text.